This morning, I spent 2 hours wandering around the marché, the town market in Aix-en-Provence. I had no agenda. I didn't have podcasts going in my ears. I just walked around and browsed at all the super fresh, vibrant vegetables, and I picked some up, along with some really fresh fish for dinner tonight. Then I went and sat on a cafe terrace and sipped on coffee and watched the world go by. I watched people haggling over prices a bit. I watched a couple of good friends give each other bisous, mwah, mwah. The kind of thing where I tend to stab people in the side of the face with my earrings or totally miss and make an idiot of myself still. But I'm working on it. And I saw some people arguing over some politics, but in a really friendly way that I kind of miss from the US. So I realized at some point that really this is what most of us have completely forgotten. And I'm not talking about buying vegetables or even arguing. I'm just talking about moving through the world without grinding against it. I'm Dr. Jenny, and I'm a doctor and professor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And I've recently sold my practice, and I moved from Denver, Colorado in the United States to Provence in France. And I realized that I should probably have been asking my clients a decade ago about this very question. What if you are not broken? What if you're just stuck? Today, I'm going to walk you through something that I call the Stagnation Audit. It is a 3-part self-assessment that helps you to figure out exactly where you're stuck. Is it in your body? Is it in your mind or your emotions? Or is it actually in your life that you are stuck? Because the first step to actually feeling better is to be honest about what's really going on. So you will find a link to a free worksheet for this in the description box below. So go and grab that because you'll maybe want to make some notes. And there's also some tips at the end on what you can do about it. So let's take a few minutes to talk about what is stagnation. What does that even mean, right? So in Chinese medicine, we have a saying. I'm going to spare us saying it in Chinese so I don't embarrass myself. But when there is no flow, there is pain. And where there is pain, there is no flow. So I want to be really clear here that this is not just about, your back hurting or physical pain that you might be feeling, although that is a part of it. Stagnation means that something is blocked. It means your system has gone from a flowing mountain stream to a stagnant, mucky pond. We like to use these analogies a lot in Chinese medicine. The terrain of your body and your mind is so important. You are always getting signals from your body when you have stagnation. The pain, the stress, the feeling of stuckness in some way. But you're just not always reading them as stagnation. You might read them as, oh, I'm just tired, or, oh, I'm just so stressed, or, oh, this is my least favorite, I'm just getting older. That's a whole nother video. But in Chinese medicine, qi stagnation, the stagnation of your vital energy, your life force, it shows up in really specific patterns, and it has for thousands of years that have just been documented. So like when you wake up every morning and you're so stiff, but you get moving and things start to feel better, that's a type of stagnation. That 3 p.m. crash that no amount of rest ever seems to fix it, that is a type of stagnation. And depletion, that's a different video. Lying awake every day between 1 and 3 a.m., like with your mind racing and the weight of the world on your head, qi stagnation. And one of the biggest tells is feeling emotionally brittle. Like any small inconvenience, anything that doesn't work how it should, feels like it's just a complete threat to your whole nervous system. That's a sign of chronic stagnation. So we're just not listening. We're not reading it as this. Here's the part that surprises even Western medicine doctors. So research backs all this up, right? Like we know that chronic inflammation, disrupted circadian rhythms, vagal dysregulation, sedentary behavior, and social isolation all create measurable physiological stagnation, stress, sluggish lymphatic flow, impaired vagal tone, poor mitochondrial function, depression, anxiety. I mean, the list goes on and on. Chinese medicine just had a name for this over 2,000 years ago, stagnation. So let's find where yours is. So your first area we're going to talk about is your physical body, okay? We'll start with the easy one. And I want you to answer these honestly, okay? So if you grab the worksheet, just write your answers down. You can pause the video and you'll start to see a pattern here. So the first area we're going to check in your physical body is when you wake up in the morning, how long does it take before your body feels like it actually belongs to you? Before you feel like you can move, before your head starts to feel clear? Do you need 20 minutes, 45 minutes before you feel warmed up and limber? Do you have to have that coffee to get moving? If you feel like all your joints are just stabbing pain stuck in concrete, that's blood stagnation. If you feel heavy and just heavy and blocked and puffy, damp stagnation, your fluids have become sluggish overnight. So this is not a normal part of aging. It's a common part of aging, but it's not really a normal part. It is, however, a really important signal to you to listen to your body. The second, physical pain. Where does your pain in your body live? Here's the key question. Is it fixed pain? Is it pain that moves around? Is it dull pain? The quality of pain tells us a lot about what's going on. So fixed pain is what we call blood stagnation. It's like stabbing pain. And if it's moving around a lot, we relate that to wind, which is actually also a deficiency issue, but it creates a lot of stagnation. They don't play nicely together, so they build on each other. There's also chi stagnation pain, which tends to be more dull than stabbing, but can be very intense at the same time. Cold stagnation can be very painful as well because you're not moving around too much, or maybe you're drinking too much iced drinks. Americans, I'm looking at you for sure. But think about where you feel this. Pain that moves around, figure out where it is. Are you depleted? Are you stressed? Are you stagnant? I just want you to note where this is in your body and mark that down. Maybe you don't have any, which great for you if you don't. Third thing I want you to think about is your digestion. I know it's not glamorous, but you should know that us Chinese medicine practitioners talk about poop all the time because it tells us so much about you and your health. So your gut is one of the most reliable ways to assess your whole body, and especially stagnation. So if you're getting bloating after meals, that's stagnation. If you're having pain, that's stagnation. If you are having irregular bowel movements, like sometimes you're constipated and sometimes it's loose stool, that's stagnation, it's stress. Or those little like elk poop, the little tiny pellets, stress, stagnation, and probably a little dehydration too. There is a whole art of poop reading basically in Chinese medicine that is very accurate. We're not psychic, we just know things. So I want you to look at this. So are you having food that's just sitting, like it's just not moving? That's slow motility. It's a type of stagnation as well. Gut dysbiosis causes stagnation. That bloating, you know the feeling, right? Like it's just, and it's not moving. It's just not going anywhere. And the fourth one I want you to think about for your physical body is your fatigue quality. So this is an important one. It's not just fatigue, it's the kind of fatigue that tells us what type of stagnation you have. So as I mentioned earlier, if you get up in the morning and move around and you feel better, that is stagnation. Could be blood stagnation, chi stagnation. But if movement is making you feel worse, you're just so depleted, that's actually a symptom of depletion, of being so depleted. And that's a different topic in a different video for another day. But if your 10-minute walk actually perks you up, you're not tired. You're just stuck. You have chi stagnation. So that is how you can tell if the fatigue is more exhaustion, depletion, or if you're just way too stressed out and stuck. Okay. So I want you to look at your answers and think about how many of those land. Okay. So here's area 2. the energy and mind audit. In Chinese medicine, these are not separate from your body. Your energy, your mind, your spirit, and your physical body are all just you. They're all part of one system, so you can't really separate them at all. Like mind, body, spirit doesn't really make sense in the same way because they're not three separate things working together. They just are together and are all part of you, like different systems, okay? In Chinese medicine, the liver in particular is responsible for the smooth flow of qi throughout your body. When the liver is happy, you move through your day with flexibility and motivation and drive. You're emotionally, mentally, and physically feeling pretty good. But when it's stuck, everything feels harder than it should. And when it's chronically stuck, we can get really depleted in the liver, and it can start to be like decision fatigue or no fortitude, no motivation. Okay, so these are all things that can happen with chronic qi stagnation in the liver. So let's do a liver qi audit here. Number one, again, this 1 to 3 a.m. question. Do you wake up in the middle of the night? And is it sometime between 1 and 3 a.m.? In Chinese medicine, that's liver time. That's when the liver qi is most active. So if you are regularly waking up in that window with your brain already at full speed, like worrying about the world or, conversation you had or what you need to do tomorrow, going over conversations, planning, catastrophizing, your liver is working overtime and its qi is not moving freely. So from a Western lens, this also corresponds quite well to a disrupted cortisol rhythm. So you'll also see a lot of elevated inflammation markers in the evening in people that are having this go on. So there's a lot of good correlation from both Eastern and Western medicine. So the second thing I want you to think about from liver qi stagnation perspective is, how are you handling change? Now, we touched on this earlier, but it's really important to bring up. Do small or unexpected changes, like a plan that shifts your day or a delay or something just not going the way you expected, does it feel manageable, or does it just blow you up and you're just falling apart? Like, it can genuinely destabilize you for hours when this happens. So that is this liver qi stagnation underlying whatever else is going on, okay? So liver qi stagnation, it makes you feel emotionally brittle, like I mentioned before. And what's wild is that the neuroscience really backs this up. So when our nervous system is chronically dysregulated, when the prefrontal cortex, like our planning, reasoning, flexible thinking brain is impeded, our nervous system actually goes offline faster. So you're not being dramatic. Your system is just genuinely less flexible than it should be because of all this stagnation. So the third thing I want you to think about is sighing. Yeah, sighing. I'm serious. Do you sigh a lot? Like, so do people tell you you sigh a lot? I have a vivid picture of my daughter here doing the big teenager sigh when I tell her something she doesn't want to hear. You know, the one like, the eye roll is an important part of that. Well, sighing is actually a way for our bodies to release stress. So if you are chronically sighing a lot throughout the day, or if people tell you this is a symptom. It's also your body trying to regulate stress and stagnation. So just start to notice, are you sighing a lot? It's involuntary. I mean, not as forced as when your teenager gives you the sigh. But if you find yourself just sighing a lot, or people tell you that you're sighing a lot, it means you're stressed. You probably don't really need me to tell you that, but I'm going to just mention it because we get too used to it. You know what I mean? We get too used to the stress. So the fourth thing to notice, again, we talked about this already, is this afternoon wall. This isn't like a tired from a bad night wall. This is that 2 to 3 p.m. feeling like you've just hit this force field that sucked out all of your motivation and all your focus, and you're just irritable and cranky for no reason other than it's just that time of day where you get that way. So that is really like a mix of stagnation and what we call your yang qi, your yang energy declining, but it is a mix of stress and depletion. So this is another symptom. Like, nothing seems to manage it, nothing seems to make it better. this is a type of stagnation. So it's a chronic cortisol imbalance, and some Western medicine practitioners, like functional medicine, would call it adrenal fatigue. So the constant stress is not only causing the stagnation, but it's also depleting you a lot. So let me know how many of those resonate with you down in the comments. The third area that we're going to talk about is the one that can make people the most uncomfortable, because it's not about your joints or your sleep. It's about your life. In Chinese medicine, qi stagnation is not just physical. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's mental. But for right now, I want to touch almost on the spiritual quality to it. A life that has become too small, too routine, too rigid, creates just as much stagnation in the body as not moving enough. So our systems are designed for movement, to flow in every direction. Things work best when we're adaptive, when we're responsive to the input, okay? Our body gives us a lot of clues that something needs to move. And I'm talking about it from like a life perspective or physical. It's just that it's up to us to listen to it. And something that we're not very good at or have really learned to do, to listen to our bodies. So let's talk about a few honest questions here. The first one is, when was the last time that you did something for the first time? Not a big thing. It could be anything, right? Like walking down a new street on your walk, or ordering something different at your favorite coffee shop, a conversation with somebody you didn't really know. See, novelty keeps your chi moving. The absence of novelty is stagnating. In Western medicine, this is like the idea of building new neuronal connections, right? Which we know is so vital for brain health, especially as we age. And I know that for me, I really found that, you get your life pretty dialed in at a certain point, and you don't really have to think about things, which is good. It's less stressful. It's less to process all the time, but we get in these ruts, right? Like we just do everything the same, and we're not challenging ourselves. We're not really even using our brain anymore. So I just want you to think about that. Like, what can you go do that might be just something new, to mix it up a little bit, to help wake up your brain a bit? The second thing in your life you keep almost addressing and then don't. Is it a relationship? Is it a work situation, a living situation, a health thing that you keep meaning to follow up on? These are the things that we are avoiding in our lives, that we know we should do or pay attention to, but it's just uncomfortable, and it's just something we just don't want to do. That thing that you are not moving on, that's often where the deepest stagnation lies, and it's what's underlying a lot of your stress and stuckness, and even your depletion, your depletedness with things. So it's not a coincidence that people with the biggest unmoved and ignored thing often feel the worst, okay? It's the stagnation. And the third thing that we're going to talk about is, what does your rest actually look like? And this is two-sided coin here that we're going to talk about. Here's one trap, and I see it constantly in chronically stressed out people, chronically ill people even. We're exhausted, and so they rest, which is great. I'm all for it. However, you go and you lie down and you darken the room and you sit on your phone and you scroll. And you scroll and you scroll and you scroll, and you're looking at a bright light, and there's so much stimulation and there's so much input. And it's called doom scrolling for a reason, especially lately. And we call that recovery. And it's not. Yes, your body is resting, and that can be good. But your mind is not resting. You're not creating any space. You're not creating any space for healing. You're just putting more input in. It's like stuffing our faces with food, but with mental junk, okay? Like, push it all in. You need to just do nothing sometimes. Just close your eyes and I mean, you can meditate, you can pray, you can count sheep, you can just count your breathing, or you can doze off, which probably most of us could use that little nap, right? But just laying there and scrolling is not the same thing as resting, okay? Like, there's a reason why when people get concussions, they're not supposed to do that, okay? Because it still uses your brain. The other piece of this is that static rest, where we're just laying there and doing nothing for a really long time, can be really counterproductive for helping our bodies to feel better. And it creates a lot of stagnation, So if you're going to rest, and then get up and move. So anyone with like chronic conditions like autoimmune, chronic pain, hormonal imbalance, depression, anxiety, chronic stress, I mean, the list goes on, right? You need to do some active rest, okay? By all means, get some laying down rest. I'm all for it. But then get up, get some gentle movement, a little walk, some sunlight, some social connection, sensory input, something beautiful. Go for a walk. What you sometimes actually need for calming your stress is the opposite of lying in a dark room and scrolling. It's the getting out in the world and being a part of it. Again, without an agenda, without I have to do this and this is my list and here's my badge of busyness, honor. It's about just being in the world and walking through it and noticing the birds and the clouds and the sun on your face. Get moving a little bit to help yourself move some of that stagnation, and it will help so many things. I want to take a minute to tell you something personal about this same section here that we're talking about in life. Last year, before I made the decision to move to France and sell my practice, I was doing all of these things. And my life had just gotten a little bit too small and a whole lot of routine and sameness. And I had a really convincing story for myself about how I was, this was the responsible and adult thing. And it was just life. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't feeding me. And my body was telling me, right? Like I was symptomatic with migraines and autoimmune and with pain and waking up in the night with something just off. My body was staging a protest, and I just kept calling it a flare without listening. But there was something underneath it that it was just time to do something different. And as uncomfortable as that can be, things are better now, even with all the stress of the move, because I listened to my body. Where are you feeling it in your body or in your life or in your habits? Where are you feeling stuck? So now we've done the audit. You've probably got some clarity about where your stagnation is concentrated in your physical body or in your energy or in your mind, your heart. It's not your physical heart, your emotional heart. Maybe it's a little bit in all three, okay? I know that happens to me. So here is what I want you to do with that. Pick one area, pick one thing. So Chinese medicine doesn't believe in like this whole supplement stack and you have to take all these things forever and ever and ever and spend $600 a month on all these things to ever be healthy. That's just not how we roll in Chinese medicine. Yes, sometimes there's supplements, but they're not meant in most cases to be taken forever. It's just to help you feel better, and then you don't need them for a while, which is what I love about Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine really, it doesn't believe in like these fasting and these cleanses and this 30-day overhaul. It's really about these small, consistent, targeted inputs that shift things over time. And when this one thing is done consistently, more chi will move than if you did 10 things frantically for a week. So I want you to pick one thing that you can work on and do a little differently. The worksheet in the description box, if you wanted to look at that, it will walk you through some specific first steps that you can do based on which areas that you feel like you're most stuck in. And yes, you can do more than one, but don't overwhelm yourself, right? We're trying to not create more stress here. Pick one thing that feels doable and meaningful and that will help you feel like it's going to move the needle for you in the direction that you want. If you want to go deeper with any of this, and if you're looking at these results and you're just thinking, wow, this is about more than one thing and I need some actual guidance, that's what my one-on-one coaching program is for, the Yangshen Reset program. So you can find the link in the description box on how to reach me. If you are interested in doing that, it is how I work with people who are done just managing symptoms and are ready to address the actual root. That could be physical, that can be in your life. So I think we all know that they are pretty intertwined. So let me know. And also, if you're finding this video helpful in any way, I would super appreciate it if you would hit the like button and subscribe and the notification bell. And it just really so much helps us to grow and to help other people find this channel so we can help them too. So this morning at the market, it took 2 hours. In my Denver life, that would have felt insane on a Friday morning. Irresponsible even. But I understand it differently now. It wasn't 2 hours of nothing. It was 2 hours of everything moving the way it's supposed to move. You don't need to move to Provence. You need to find your version of this market lifestyle, of this slower pace, the place where the chi flows, wherever you are. The audit is step one. And now you know where to look, and you can use it whenever you need it. So leave me a comment. Where did your stagnation show up? Body, mind, life? I read every comment, so let me know. I really love to hear your stories with it. In the meantime, I am Dr. Jenny, and I'm here to remind you that life is for living. So get out there and live it. A bientôt. I will see you soon.